oftentimes we talk exclusively about the question of coercion. Should government basically ban or not ban? And on that issue, I think the way I read Mill, certainly, and the way I think about it, we should be very rigid in our rule, that we should basically never allow government, for all the reasons that you and I were talking about in the opening part of the conversation, to ban a view based on its viewpoint or its opinion. So even when it comes, for instance, and here I really am a free speech purist, when it comes to the worst views, the most evil views, the views of the Ku Klux Klan, the views of the Nazi Party, when they're not engaged in direct threats or in direct incitement of violence, I think they should, for Meiklejohn reasons, get protection. Meiklejohn himself was no Marxist, but he was concerned to protect the rights of communists who were preaching insurrection at the time. All of that, I think, is fundamental. But, and this is the insight I think we get a little bit in Mill, that's only part of the question. The other part of the question, apart from government coercion, is about what the society is thinking about. And Mill was concerned to show us that free speech would lead to truth in some way. I might not be that ambitious, but I certainly think that if free speech is going to lead to a culture in which the ideas of democracy themselves are undermined by these groups, anti-democratic groups, the ones that I mentioned, then that's an argument against the democracy to begin with. So we've got to find a way within the system of protecting all viewpoints to ensure that some don't win. Now, that's a kind of paradox. Some people have thought it's impossible to do. My own argument, and I make this argument in a book called When the State Speaks, What Should It Say?, is that when citizens engage in speech and when government engages in its own speech, when it sends its own messages, it's got to take a side. It can't be neutral between the Ku Klux Klan and democracy. It's got to take the side of liberal democracy. So sometimes it's sort of said in jest or mocking. It's a quote attributed to Robert Frost that you've heard, that many people have heard, but I've never actually seen evidence that he said it. But the liberal is a person who can't take his own side in an argument. That can't be what liberalism is. There has to be a way to defend democratic values at the same time as protecting dissenting viewpoints. So for me, and I'll touch on cancel culture and how the Times article sort of misses all this, I think once we've established the rule that government can't punish speech based on its viewpoint, government has to take a stand in defense of liberal democracy, and it has to support those citizens who are protesting, opposing groups like the Ku Klux Klan. Now, the danger here is, how do you go about that? And I think that the more you can do it through reasoning and the less through social sanction, all the better.